For years, if you wanted to get someone into anime, there were three options: Naruto, Bleach, One Piece. But then a shift happens. Not that kind of shift. Studios started taking risks on shows that were far apart from the established norms. A psychological crime drama that was a battle of wits. A philosophical show that was about man's ego and the wrestle within oneself. And a show about a samurai in a world dominated by aliens trying to make ends meet each episode. None of these shows should have worked following the previous trend. But time and time again, they kept being animated by studios. Because something was just working apparently. This is the era anime stopped playing it safe and became the industry we all love till this day. Welcome back to Anime Years, and this is the mid-2000s. By the mid-2000s, Japan or the world was at a point in time where the internet was integrated in everybody's day-to-day lives. Forums, blogs, early social media platforms, people were finding people in other various niches, building communities and exploring mediums in ways that were not possible around a decade earlier. Anime during this time was at its early stages of developing a much larger online community it already had. But with that came a shift in the industry that drifted from the norm. You see, before this era, anime always played it safe, sticking to the same demographics and formulas that had worked for years. If you wanted an audience, you made a show for teenage boys, and you stuck with what already sold. But with the current fan base it had, more was needed, leading to studios adapting and creating shows that dare to defy this standard, satisfying the now growing demand for variance in the industry. Everything became an experiment to please its fans, and studios didn't take that lightly. The visuals of anime was one of those aspects that were played with during this era of experiments. Color palettes got more bolder or artistically attuned to align and further enhance the story or invoke emotions, and the identity of anime started being crafted less like the already established rulebook and more like this anime looks like this because the story demands it to. And combining this style of coloring with animation that embodies this principle gives you something like Redline, an anime that took 7 years to make with over 100,000 hand-drawn frames. That's a long time to dedicate on such a gamble against the norm, but the end result paid off astonishingly well. You could feel the very soul that was put into this work, so much so it made you feel a surge of adrenaline in your veins. Every gear shift, every daring maneuver, every mind-twisting form its existence in this anime had to inhabit in order to tell its story. It's a true masterpiece in that regard that still hasn't been topped to this very day, and the very best example of how the power of exceptional coloring and animation can heighten a medium so well the story felt secondary or an afterthought even when it was all over. The experiments of this era were far beyond just animation and coloring. This time, studios dared to adapt or even produce shows that were a change of tastes in contrast to what were given earlier in the previous years. For instance, Tatami Galaxy, an anime that tackles the indecision that comes with having too many options and the stagnation it breeds after not making any at all, while thinking through how each could actually turn out. Multiple timelines tracking various what-if scenarios, the same choices resulting from your inherent human nature, and the same downfall that follows from following those choices. The visuals, animation, and the way it told its story defied all we knew as the norm. But not only Tatami Galaxy did this. Welcome to the NHK also did this, but in a different way. The best way to put it is it was an anime that looked so normal you wouldn't expect the topics it tackles: addiction, isolation, social anxiety, the willingness to continue living in a world that seems better off without you. Such harrowing and painfully real topics aren't something you look at and decide to create in a medium known for heroes and cute anime girls. It's a hard sell, a tough watch even, but it was a risk studios took anyway. But on a brighter note, Gurren Lagann was a spark of hope for believing in oneself. An anime so daring killed off its most beloved character at its somewhat early stages to drive its message on hope and self-belief in the face of the impossible. Its animation, boldness, and sense of no limits broke all standards, daring to even push you in real life to go above and beyond in your dreams. It's an anime that leaves a mark, and it only could have achieved this as a show that dared to be different. And lastly, Ergo Proxy, a show that was so experimental till this day it's a wonder how it possibly got its flowers in the anime community. It was painfully slow, so dense in its philosophy and its meaning that most of its message is still not fully understood in the anime community. Let me give a brief summary. Ego Proxy is a story about a guy named Vincent going through the struggles of finding oneself while being afraid of his own shadow and ego. But that doesn't begin to cover all the references, the meaning each characters play in the grand scheme of things. I cover most of this in the video I made, and if you would like to get a deeper understanding or actually understand it, I suggest you check it out. But back to the video. All the risk taking in this era didn't just happen randomly one day. It was a product the industry had to actually make room for first, and a lot of that room came from something called time slots. Time slots are basically Japanese broadcast programming for their TV stations, operating on a 29-hour clock basis, and it goes like this. From 6 AM to 4 PM we have news, special programs, and sometimes dramas targeted at now resting housewives on chores. From 4 PM to 7 PM were in-between shows, but most especially shows targeted at kids, sometimes tame and safe anime even. Now from 7 PM to 10 PM is considered golden time or prime time, and shows on air then were the most paying, safe for family shows or even anime available at that time, like Pokemon, Doraemon, Shin-chan, or Naruto sometimes. And then from 11 PM to 4 PM we have the late night slots, where shows or anime that were too matured were aired and everything was marketed for a more matured audience. Within the late night slots was an anime block noitaminA, launched by Fuji TV in April 2005. NoitaminA was a play on the world animation, meaning the opposite of what anime is known for at that time, and that meant shows that were designed to appeal to a different audience that wanted something different. noitaminA gave studios the leverage to be more experimental with shows they produced, and although they were limited, they created the much needed variance the fan base needed. On the anime studio side of this era, many studios were now very much established in their craft, making names for themselves in their areas of specialty. But continuing from where we stopped and moving on to another massive branch of the Toei tree is Mushi Production. Mushi Production, founded by ex-Toei stars, became another major branching point in anime studio lineage that directly influenced or led to the rise of studios like Madhouse, Sunrise, Kyoto Animation, Shaft, and Gallop, all with their various distinct traits in animation and visual styles. At this point, you can see how interconnected anime studios are from their roots, and although most studios originated from Toei, we do have some notable studios born outside of the Toei tree, formed by independent illustrators or animators, but we'll talk about those studios another time. Personally, anime during this era was a clusterfuck of different things, nothing at all like the monotonous notes that was dished out to us during the previous era, where it's about an anime boy doing seemingly impossible things. It was an era of risks and experiments, and in those risks and experiments came gems we still look back till this day. So take risks, be experimental, and do all this while still being the very best you can be. By the end of this era, anime wasn't the same industry it started as. The risks paid off often enough that they stopped being risks. They became proof of concept. Tatami Galaxy showed structure itself could be part of the story. Welcome to the NHK showed anime could still sit in real discomfort and still find audience within it. Ego Proxy showed us how philosophical anime could get. None of that erases what came before it. The big tree built the audience this era needed in order to take these risks in the first place. So whenever you look back at anime from the mid-2000s, 2005 to 2010 to be exact, don't just see it as an era of random wild swing. See it as the moment anime learned that different could work, and once it learned that, it never stopped trying. This is the era anime stopped playing it safe and became the industry we actually grew up loving.
Happens to follow my shift happens, then that's when I start doing the other slower falling.
So like I will just like shake it a bit and start falling.
That's cool. For years, if you wanted to get someone into anime or take one. I've been doing it only me since. I don't what the linguini moving around.
I'm just the supporting staff here.
Supporting staff are just
Don't
causing
shoot,
distractions.
don't shoot the messenger.
For years, if you wanted to get someone into anime, you have three choices.
Right.
Fuck!
You forgot how to count.
Oh, fuck you.
Next time, we watch that same industry that embraced risks. Take everything it learned here and sharpen it into something more precise. I've been Joseph, and I'll see you next time.